Let us spend a brief moment with our readings from today. In our first reading from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians in chapter 12, we read about the richness of Christ's body, the diverse roles within the church. Let us be inspired by this image that God's glory fills the church. But let us go even a step further and try to see our life in the light of this full presence in the church. In the book of Numbers we read, "May the Lord make his face shine upon you." The first experience, and this is the experience of which St. Paul speaks about, is when we perceive the full presence of God in the church. It is like when, on a beautiful day, we are enjoying sunshine on our face, on our skin. We absorb it and drink God's grace. And we are fully aware of it, that God is Emmanuel, He is with us, with His people, among us. But there is a second presence of God. Or, inspired by Paul's vision, we can envision God's glory in everything. God's life-giving glory vivifies everything, all aspects of life, social life, the life of nature. That is why so much good is going on in our world, seen, unseen, in our schools, in our charitable organizations, in shops, and so on. When people are present with their goodness. But we can also envision, and this is a challenging image, when God's glory is in exile. As we said, God's glory is always among us, in the church in its fullness, in people of goodwill, in our society when something good is taking place. But God's glory, paradoxically, is also present when bad things are taking place. When God's glory is in exile, in man, in us. God's glory is also there as a life-giving source when we use it for wrong purposes. Think of the fight between gangs. They have life energies. They get their life energies somewhere. They use God's gift, their precious life, for a bad purpose. Or we can think of drug trafficking and distribution. Human skills, organizational skills, are used in a bad way. Or we can think of forms of exploitation in the workplace, or any form of abuse when someone is hurting someone. But still, it is God's life-giving presence which allows this life, which sustains this life, which we hijack. So let us be challenged by the fact that God's glory is always among us. And particularly let us cherish those moments when God's glory is close to us. And I'd like to mention an example. There's a wonderful primary school, actually 2 primary schools in Alliance, Orion Primary School and Goldbeaters Primary School within our parish, in one of the most deprived area of the United Kingdom. The head teacher developed a very unique ethos based on positive motivation and stimulation by arts and words and beauty. And in the past 10 years, from the very bottom of the league table, they rose to the very top in North London. It shows that God's beauty, God's life-giving energy is fully present. Every day, beside their academic work, every day the children have a school assembly. They have art programs. Their life literally is full of colors and songs. The motto of the school is shine. Everyone can shine. Shine like a star. So the ethos of the school is about liberating light in children, liberating their potentials. And actually this is what St. Paul's vision about the different parts of the church is about. That God's glory is among us, and we have to create opportunities when this glory can be embodied in people's life, in our lives, in our actions. And let the model of Orion and Goldbeaters Primary School be a positive model for us, the way in which we try to do church for children and for adults. Let it be based on positive motivation, that God's glory is in us, is in you, and is waiting to connect with someone else.